So what did you guys think about the Diana Taurasi docuseries? I just watched it over the weekend and I have a few thoughts. First of all, I thought it was executed perfectly. I think it covered all of the major points of her career in women's basketball. It showed me things that I did not know, as well as reminded me of things that I forgot about. And ultimately, it really just increased my fandom and love for DT. DT, for me, is what I like to call, or at least this was the word that kept popping up in my head when I was watching the docuseries. She's a bridge. She's also the GOAT. She's also fierce, a dog, like all the things, right? But the word bridge kept popping up in my head as I was watching, because I remember distinctively working a 9 to 5. I was in my early 20s. This was early mid 2000s. And one of my coworkers, we were talking about sports, and I live in San Francisco, so I come from a sports cultured city and town. But when it came to women's basketball, I hardly ever talked about it because I never really met people that were into it, or they, say the usual, no one watches women's sports. But I found a commonality with a coworker, and she always talked about how her favorite player was Diana Taurasi. She'd always describe the bun and UConn and all this stuff. And watching this docuseries just reminded me of how much of a bridge and how necessary DT was in the trajectory of women's sports, women's professional sports at that. Because at a time when no one was really paying attention to women's sports, it was players like her who they followed, who those that didn't really care much for women's sports did care about DT. And for that to translate into a 20-year career, and to see where those early days, like 2004, 5, 6, those were the early days I was working at a 9 to 5 too, when women's sports wasn't as popular, and for her to be a topic of conversation, water cooler talk, as they say, is dope. And for her name to still ring bells and be a hot topic and a topic of conversation now in 2025 is amazing. Fully goated, much respect. DT, a legend and icon, forever one of the best, if not the best, WNBA players to pick up a basketball. And much respect again. Praise, you did that, and you're gonna continue to do that. If you're watching this, DT, or anyone from DT's team, or just fans of DT, you get it. I don't even really have to say much, but I'm just pumped to see what the next 20 years of her career brings outside of being on the court, and the impact that that's going to make as well. Thank you for watching. My name is Lilz. Hit that follow button. Join the crew, the 84 Hoops crew. I love talking about women's basketball, professional sports, all that good stuff in between, and business. Why not? I'm in business and basketball, business, basketball, hoops, all that. Beyonce.